golems feel rage?
Serenity never felt rage. He asks, knowing what you now know, your next task is still to go liberate Terran? That's what you want to do next?
Is this Grand Serious asking or Brick Road?
I'm asking you guys.
I don't know, the Elda thing sounds easier at this point.
Well, there's that. There's the Eldev thing. There's the
and then there's the Illithid thing. And I get the feeling now
there's
really
Jade
was going to want to go do the Illithid thing.
Yeah.
I mean, to put all the cards on the table, you basically got 4 major adventures left in the campaign. And those are the 4.
Right.
So
what do you say now?
I mean, the Illithid will die at some point, regardless. The order doesn't matter particularly to me. I won't put that one.
Check on that one.
I won't.
You know, Nath, Illithids die of old age, too.
Not if I can help it.
Damn.
Yeah, Ryan got a 25 on that insight check. Does he mean that?
Yeah, no, as long as we kill the Illithid at some point. Like, it's not...
Oh,
he doesn't like... Going near an Illithid is a stupid thing to do, and you only do it when you're planning to kill them. Like... Though, I wouldn't mind doing it first.
Gransteria says that though you have proven yourselves powerful and resourceful, you are still mortal, and he is worried that completing these tasks set before you may be beyond your ken. He asks, is there anything he can do in terms of granting you power or equipment to aid you in this quest?
Oh, Kelian bites his lower lip.
He's not a fiend, right?
Gransteria is not a fiend, no.
Yeah.
Gransteria is a lich. But he is absolutely evil. His lair's on the abyss. He told you he'd rather just kill everything.
Yeah, I get it.
Mahogany's a neutral druid. He's down with killing those assholes.
I'm making this decision like partly from a player's perspective, which I know you're not supposed to do.
Okay.
But I'm thinking like I don't want to get Riot in the same situation that Tarek was in.
Tarek is in, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's not even a player position though, because you literally know what happened to Tarek.
That's true. Yeah.
So that makes perfect sense as an in-character thought.
Terran did done fucked up, and
it's like
we're
Kelian
trying
is
to not do
his
that.
lower lip.
So let's boil this down into, because each of you are going to have to make this decision individually.
Mm-hmm.
You basically have 3 choices if you're going to accept a boon from Duke Gransteria. Option 1, he will loan you a magical item from his treasury, which is vast but still limited. Like, it's not, you don't get to just invent an item. We'll sit down and think about what it is you want to take.
No wand of
any of these items, regardless of function, will require attunement. Your second option is the Duke can magically enhance any one of your statistics by 1 point, or your AC by 1 point, or grant proficiency with any one saving throw. The third option is to tell the Duke, no thank you, I got this, and do not accept his aid. So, do you want to take 5 minutes to everybody think about this, or are we ready to spin the wheel?
Oh, I've already got my decision.
All right, what's your decision?
No, thank you, sir.
So, liberation is a firm no thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
The Abyss is the chaotic plane, right?
Chaotic evil plane.
Well, that's why Terran fucked up. He made his deal with a lawful evil.
That is true. Never make a deal with a lawful fiend. I mean, you can make a deal with a chaotic fiend, but they're more predictable, ironically, because you know after they break the deal, they'll just kill you.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the lawful ones you never see coming.
Because I think we all know where this is going to head anyway. We're going to lose we're going to finish the game, and it's just going to be us and Duke Gransteria, and Duke Gransteria is just going to murder us all.
Well, one of the terms...
He's not allowed to.
Yeah, he's not allowed to. But one of the terms Aunt Nancy gave him is that if he wins the game, if his team wins, he can share the winnings with another team. Granstarius took this to mean that the only way he can win is by forging an alliance with someone else that can do the violent work that he can't.
Yeah.
So what he's saying is when we're down to the last two, you guys step aside, he takes the victory, and then shares the spoils with you.
Because I'm sure he's totally going to do that.
In character, does anybody believe that's what's going to happen?
No way.
No.
No.
Mahogany doesn't even give a shit about this game.
Okay. So as for the Duke's boon, liberation is a firm nothing.
No cats.
There's Miss Fluffy Bottom.
Who else has given it some thought?
I'm thinking about option.
Nath is totally going to decline.
Math is a no. Not even like a +2 Sword of Illithid Slaying or anything?
If it's on the table, I don't know.
If it's of Illithid Slaying, you can go up to a +3, Brick Road.
God, I actually gave a +2 weapon to my Ravenloft game, and I was shocked. I've never seen a +2 weapon in any 5e book until just now. Like, that's the first one I've ever seen.
I gave a +2 wand to one of my players, but it's got a curse on it, of course.
Oh, yeah. You know.
As you do.
You gave us
Nath.
a cursed +3 dagger.
I mean, that's very tempting, but Nath does not. No, this person is far too evil.
So it's Nath. Is it because he doesn't trust Granstarius, or is it because he's confident in his own abilities to complete?
He does not trust Granstarius at all.
Fair enough.
He's far too evil, and given that he hangs out on the Abyss pretty much apparently willingly, he doesn't also trust the words the verbal contract would be written on the paper.
All right.
Oh yeah, Mahogany doesn't think about it at all. He turns it down.
So Mahogany's also a firm nothing?
Yeah.
At least Riot and Kelian.
Riot's considering option 4.
God damn it.
See, my notes say there's only 3 options. What is option 4?
I want to know if he would be willing to help me with a spell that could be useful in our game that I've been researching.
Oh, you want him to bear the load of researching that knock spell?
What I mainly need, because I did some of the math, like just stepping out of character for a minute.
Uh-huh.
I'm not worried about the gold cost. I think we can get that over the cost of however long it takes me to get to level 8.
Right.
I am worried about the time, because I like doing the math. That's like a year.
Yeah.
Riot didn't have a year. It left on the campaign.
Well, keeping in mind, because I gave you the number, I think, in man hours or something.
Right.
That's time that Riot could delegate. Like, she could hire mages to do the research for her.
Yeah, I think that's
Right.
this.
Yeah, and that's
And
what
you're
that
still
is.
figuring it's going to take about a year. Okay. So that's what you want Granstarius to do for you.
Right. I can supply, ingredients, trial things. I'm still directing the research, but I just don't have the time. And it seems like if there's one thing you and yours have, it's time.
What do you tell him you need this spell for? Like, how is this going to be helpful to you in your endeavors?
Well, we're going to break a man out of prison, right? Essentially.
And he tells you that if this is your request, he will see it done.
Excellent.
And then actually this time he turns to his left. And he asks if Sinette, the Banshee sorceress, will sit with you before you leave. Hear the research that you've currently done. Give her some direction so that she could look into it.
All right.
And Sinette nods in agreement, but says nothing and looks extremely angry at being asked to do this. Kelian, what do you ask the all-powerful, rich, and magically enhanced, centuries-old lich with his own level of the abyss? What do you ask him for?
Kelian. So Kelian is option 5.
Oh my god. What are you people doing to me?
Hey, 3 people took option 3.
So Kelian is confident in his abilities, and that doesn't necessarily need anything.
Okay.
But he likes the idea of being seduced by what he might have. So, have you ever watched old Wheel of Fortune episodes where you have to they give you the giant prize table and you've got to pick the prizes that you want?
We
That's
get it.
what
Kelian
Kelian-
wants a succubus.
Kelian wants to know what possible magical items that he could offer.
And he carefully considers your request for a moment. And he says, step forward.
Kelian does so.
Okay. And you step forward out in front of Riot, and the Duke is now addressing you directly for the first time. He says, you are a very shrewd man. If you will forgive the crudeness of the language, you like to cup the horse's balls before you buy it.
Generally good business practice, yes.
He turns to his knight, the knight with the big beard. Says, Sir Benjamont, could a chaperoned visit to the armory be arranged for our friend here? And the skeleton knight looks you up and down. And he says, you don't have aspirations of getting sticky fingers, do you?
Never. Not in your
Sorry.
own.
Salt. Everything.
He turns back to the Duke and says, the arrangements could be made. And the Duke looks back at Kelian and he says, before those arrangements are made, I would ask you to share a short but pleasant conversation with the last man that attempted to steal from me.
Here we go.
Hi, Alan.
Sure.
And then the Duke asks if there is anything else that needs to be discussed. You guys have covered all the finer points of this alliance. You've covered your rewards. You've covered the information that will be exchanged, and we're going to get Kelian into some trouble.
Can we ask? I had one question not about the game.
Sure.
Who's the barrier that we met along the way here?
He says that the grinning barrier is the herald of, and he says this kind of disparagingly, an underground resistance opposed to my rule. I assure you that they are of no trouble. And he turns back to Benjamont, says, isn't that right, my good man? And Benjamont stands at attention, puffs out his chest a little bit, and affirms that the Duke is in fact correct. Anybody else have anything for Duke Grant Sarius? All right, very good. Kelian.
Yes.
I mean, the rest of you are shown back to your quarters. We'll start with that. Unless anybody wants to do anything else.
Nope.
Not particularly.
Nope, not really.
I mean, immediately I'm going to start saying, all right, so how are we going to kill this Elith
So let's take...
Colony
as we're
Bears.
walking back?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to take care of Kelian first. And then as McDohl's rolling up his new character, I will... I'll outline the remaining adventures and let you guys start putting together plans for the end game here.
All right.
So Kelian,
Yeah.
shortly after you guys arrive back at your quarters, Benjamont shows up with 6 of the skeletal men-at-arms. These are just skeletons, essentially wearing plate armor, and they're each armed with a pike and a shield. So 7 of them. He tells you that you will leave your weaponry behind.
Kelian obliges. Tells Mrs. Fluffybottom to take good care of it.
He nods to one of the men-at-arms who steps forward and produces a ring. And you've seen its make, or something similar to it before, because you wore something like this when you went to the Plane of Fire.
Okay.
And he says that fire resistance will be critical where I'm taking you. And he offers it to you.
Yeah. Takes the ring, puts it on.
Okay?
Kilian's dead, yay. Sorry.
And you guys watch Kelian as he leaves all his equipment behind, puts on this magic ring, and walks off with 7 skeletal knights, who, by the way, I will remind everybody, is chaotic evil.
Yeah, Riot nudges Mahogany and says, how much you want to put on him coming back?
Mahogany says, this is the first time I've seen him leave his crossbow behind. I'm going to see if I can figure out why he keeps missing.
He fixes the laser sight on the crossbow. Now he'll never roll a 1 again.
Gold says he comes back.
Are you guys actually betting on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Riot will put up 5 gold that he doesn't come back.
Yeah, I'll put up 5.
5 that he comes back, yeah.
I like to bet on my teammates.
Yeah.
Pretty hilarious. Kelian, again, that you get led through this confusing mess of hallways, rooms, and chambers. The door you stop at is an iron vault door. And I forgot the guy's name. Benjamin reaches out, turns the huge knob on this door, and you feel heat emanating off of it. And he opens the door, and it's very hot, but it doesn't burn you because you're wearing this magic ring. And as soon as he opens the door, you hear the crackling of fire, and this expulsion of hot gas comes out of the room and hits you like a wave, and the sounds of screaming fill your ears. And Benjamin bids you enter.
Kelian looks at Benjamin for a moment, obliges.
Okay. I mean, it's a really well-lit room. As it's entirely on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels very uncomfortably hot. Like you're sure if you were to pull this ring off your finger, you would be incinerated. There's a man suspended from the ceiling in this room by chains of living fire by his hands and feet. You can't tell if he's wearing anything or not because he is entirely immolated and he is just screaming and screaming in agony.
Okay.
And he's your new best friend.
All right.
So what's next?
So it's the guy, and he's suspended in the ceiling, and it's just flames all around?
He's suspended by chains of living flame from the ceiling. So he's actually kind of dangling there by his wrists and feet.
Uh-huh.
Kind of like a pseudo hog-tied position. And yeah, Duke Asterius just lit him on fire and let him to burn for eternity.
As you do.
As you do. And is Benjamin still with me?
No, he's standing outside the room. This fucking room's on fire. He's not going to go in there with you.
All right, fair enough. Hello?
And he just continues to scream in response.
Kelian turns to Benjamin and shrugs. I don't get it.
And Benjamin doesn't have skin, so you can't tell that he's grinning, but he's absolutely grinning. And he asks, "Have a pleasant conversation."
I don't know if he can hear me, though. Hello?
And Benjamin kind of cranes his head, cocks his head to one side, looks in the room. Says, I'm not even sure if he still has ears. He has a mouth, though. No doubt about that.
Yeah, I can see that. Special room just for this guy, huh?
He says, my liege lord, the Duke Gransterius, has many special rooms. Shall we go to the vaults?
Kelian thinks about it for a few more seconds. Yeah, let's go to the vault.
Okay. So what kind of... Because you're gonna look, just kind of see what's on selection here.
Yeah.
What kind of thing would catch Kelian's eye? Assume, for the sake of argument, that Gransterius basically has access to any of the minor and moderate magic items out of the DMG, if that simplifies things for you. He's got most any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because I can't remember the last time I looked at all the items in the DMG. But anything crossbow worthy would obviously catch Kelian's eye. As I open up to the page of Javelin of Lightning. Kelian gave his soul away for a Javelin of Lightning. That.
So while you're thinking about that,
Yeah.
the rest of you receive a visitor.
He has 12 decks of anything because no one ever wants them.
Who's our visitor?
Izena raps lightly on the door again.
Mahogany answers the door.
And in her arm, she's carrying a large parcel wrapped in cloth. She said that the master has bid her come and replenish your food stores.
Oh, thank you.
She comes in and she sets to work setting, the same kind of food, just hardtack, salted meat. She refills the decanter of water.
Stuff for the journey back, I'm assuming.
And then she stops for a moment. Just in half motion. She's going to set this parcel of salted beef on a shelf, and she stops for a moment. You see her tremble. And then she turns and faces you, and her visage is totally changed now. Where she was very pleasant a moment ago, now she is fearful and anxious.
What's wrong?
She says, please, he only allows me a moment of lucidity each day. He tortures me. You have to rescue me. You have to take me from this place. And then, as quick as it happened, it's gone. She blinks, and the helpful face comes back. And she says, forgive me, I am dizzy for a moment. Then she picks up the beef and turns around and continues stocking your cabinet.
Mahogany's thinking, God damn it, I wish Liberation wasn't in the room.
And you already see the wheels turning inside his head, inside his eyes.
Oh man, a bag of holding. That'd be great.
We already have 6 of those.
Sorry.
You know what happens when you put one inside another one, right?
The best thing.
And then after a few more moments, she finishes her task, and she asks you if there will be anything else.
Can I roll? It's gonna be hard. Can I roll insight on what you said?
There's really no need. It's very clear that there's something binding her thoughts and movements that led up for just a moment. Just long enough to torture her with it.
Mm-hmm. But she is a fiend, and I'm not totally sure that this isn't some kind of test on Gransterius' part.
No, you're not totally sure of that.
Yeah, so that's why I was asking if I could insight that. Her plea.
It seems perfectly genuine to you.
Okay.
Whether or not it's a test on Gransterius' part is a different question. When Kelian gets back, he can tell you what happens if you steal from him.
I'm going to turn on Detect Magic.
Okay. Is this before or after she leaves?
This is going to be after she leaves.
Okay. And there are various, mostly abjurations and things placed throughout the castle. I mean, there's Nath's obvious stuff, clearly, but then there's also the magic that's keeping the keep itself intact.
Right.
This is a very magical place.
Basically, what I'm looking for is anything divination related.
No, nothing like that. And, I mean, you know, just from Nath's research and then from personal experience, when you watched Mahogany play with it yesterday, the divination magic is pretty much kaput on the Abyss.
A non-starter, okay. So I'm gonna look to Riot and say, now hear me out.
No, I'm listening.
I know this sounds like a very bad idea.
It does because I've also had it.
Oh, so we're on the same page for once? Nice.
Okay. Let's
Well,
have a
it's like
talk about fiends. They're always torturing each other. It's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
A
That's
basic
the thing.
protection spell would potentially suppress the control long enough to get her out of here.
Okay.
Do you want to help a fiend, though? I mean, there's a chance. There's a chance for Instares to put her in our room, and then let it lift up just to see what we would do, just to see if we could be trusted, if our alliance.
I
would
want
work.
to... Liberation, I know you're very new, but I want to be clear with you. When I say she's evil, I don't mean that she thinks evil thoughts. I mean that she is literally personified evil.
I mean,
Yeah, and I'm saying, and that's where I was saying, Liberation. I had the same thought as you, but then I put mine aside.
Karan pokes his head out of one of the rooms, looks at Liberation, says, "I'm in. What do we do?" It doesn't matter what we're doing. Didn't even hear you guys. What do we do? I'm ready. Let's go. Do you have a weapon? I need a weapon. I didn't bring one. I had a book, but I gave it to that other guy, and he's dead now.
I gave you that knife earlier.
See, the thing is, I have no idea about how to go about doing this.
Don't worry. I'll take care of it. I'll let you know when I think of something. Then he goes back in the room and closes the door.
All right, Karan's taking care of it.
You'll forgive me if I don't think he's as reliable as any of us.
so what does Grandstarius gain by trapping us and to kill this other?
But I didn't hear.
You broke up their Destil.
Yeah,
I
you
didn't-
did.
What does Grandstarius gain into tricking us into doing something that lets him kill us all if he needs our help to kill this other team?
He can't. He can't kill us all. He's still under that restriction.
That is true.
But we need his help to free Terra. And so I'm going to ask you, Liberation, who do you want freed more? This Tanari succubus slave we just met, or Captain Terran, who's been bound for God knows how long?
At least
'Cause that's
60
the
years.
choice.
We already have a
That's
pretty
kind
good.
That's kind of the choice you're making here right now. We can
Well,
free one of the two.
We've already sussed out how long Terran's been in the thrall of
Right, yeah.
Destin Locke, and fiends operate on a much longer timetable.
Yeah, but I want to be clear here. If we rescue Terran, no matter how evil he has been all this time, there's a chance Terran could change his mind. That's not the case with a succubus.
The succubus literally is a creature, from my understanding, that has lived endless lives of destroying others for fun. I don't mean to judge anyone with particularly infernal back heritage. He glances between the two tieflings, but that is the commonly accepted wisdom.
Terran or the Tanari?
He sounds very much like Eric for a moment. Fine.
At any rate, when Grandstarius betrays us, and at the end, then we can save the slave girl succubus.
She can kill all the primes she wants. It'll be great.
Actually, I don't think she kills them.
No, she just.
They're in for a much worse time than that.
Yeah, she
I think I heard
proves-
about a little death.
I heard that
It's probably incidental.
they drag mortals to the lower planes
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why they exist.
I mean, you could make her promise not to, but what's a promise to a creature of pure chaos? Again, no offense to the infernal members of the team.
Here's the thing to consider, Liberation. This one right here isn't doing that because she's bound to Grand Stereos.
I mean, not yet. She still might get Kelian.
Well,
Kelian may get Kelian. She'll just happen to be in the room.
Possibly. It doesn't.
Karan
make me
suddenly
happy.
opens the door. He's holding a rolling pin, and you have no idea where he got a rolling pin.
Karan,
And
where
looks
did
at
you get a
Liberation.
rolling pin?
And he says, "We can't worry about that right now. Here's the plan. You distract him,
Okay.
and he hits his hand with a rolling pin. Says, and I'll whack him on the head.
Who?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. Who are we hitting? This is a tough
Go back
nut to crack. I'm gonna have to go back and take another pass at it." And he goes back
Go
in the
back.
room, closes the door.
Go back to sleep.
If you
Go back
find
to
any
sleep.
nutcrackers, that may help.
Okay. Liberation doesn't like it, but he may just have to let this one slide.
Liberation, I have a really important question for you.
What?
You're the only one who can answer this question right now.
Why?
Is
Okay.
that food enchanted?
It's not, by the way. No, I would have definitely mentioned it when you put up Detect Magic.
Certainly not.
Unappetizing, but otherwise safe.
Is there enough for the 8 of us? Or 7 of us?
it's enough for the 6 of us, and then I can feed the other 2.
They brought us about as much as they did last time.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm afraid I'm just gonna have to let this one slide. I'm not happy about it, but
Let me tell you something about illithid slavers, because at some point we'll be able to do some actual good here.
okay.
And Nath will start going on about illithids.
All right. Well, they seem pretty bad news. We met an illithid, and I guess he wasn't actively offensive.
Once we go
Where
back to
was
single, we
this?
can roll some more.
And he kind of pulls out a notebook and sort of, flips open to a blank page and pulls out a quill.
He was
And
in the
Riot's
city
like
of
frantically
Brass.
shaking her head at Liberation because like we freed this illithid. Like she knows how this story ends.
Yeah. And Liberation will tell the story, and it's like, yeah. So he didn't seem he wasn't actively trying to kill us.
And what plane did you dump him out on exactly?
We didn't. We just kind of let him. Our paths left when we got everyone else out of Sigil.
And that was fire?
Plane of fire, yeah.
Do you know the planar coordinates, perchance?
The city of Brass.
I can work with that. He scribbles furiously in the notebook.
All right.
All right. Have you found something?
No.
Okay.
Then what'd you say all right for?
Sounded
Then-
like you were about to go somewhere.
I was about to go somewhere though.
Oh, okay.
I've made an important conclusion. He doesn't like. He is pursuing power for the sake of power, and that makes him no better than Darkwood.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't like that because Darkwood is bad,
Yeah.
and he's
And
going to be
Kelian
better
is
than that. He's going to be
neutral?
better than Darkwood. So.
Now, when you say better than
Thanks for
Darkwood,
the-
you mean you can do the shit Darkwood's doing better.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what we'll go with.
So in the end, you do a tour of many of Grand Stereos's powerful artifacts and decide that none of them are for you.
Yeah,
What do you steal?
a single copper coin. Just do it for the wrath.
And you burr forever and ever and ever.
Yay!
That's 15 gold, you guys owe me.
So Kelian is returned to you guys, safe and sound.
And keep Mahogany hold his hand out too.
Yeah.
Riot?
Pays up 5 gold for each of you.
Yay!
Really should have more faith in me, guys.
Mahogany says, "Don't worry, Kelian.
And
I have a
Riot.
crossbow."
outright laughs at that. At Kelian saying, "You should have more faith in me." Just like laughing in his face.
Riot, that's kind of mean.
Riot says, "You heard me in the throne room, right? I need to get some mean out."
That is
Mahogany
true.
says, "Don't worry, Kelian. I fixed your crossbow."
That is true, Riot. Be abusive. Tell Kelian how shit he is.
So, what is the leading into the wrap up here a little bit, because we have stuff to cover with these two NPCs still. What is the decision as far as the succubus slave? You're going to let that slide?
Liberation will tell Kelian what happened and give his input on that.
Rescue the hot woman? Yeah. That's a thing we should do.
Is that going to be what the taker takes?
Kelian, he said you could ask for anything.
Yeah,
That is true.
Yeah, you haven't taken anything yet. You could just go up there and say, "Grand Stairs, I want." What's her name? Isena.
What am I going to do with the succubus?
What
Wait,
won't you
really?
do with the succubus?
Yeah,
Right, says, "I can think of a few things."
Yeah,
Kelian,
and
we're
then what?
mommy and
And then I
daddy.
have a succubus. Like, no. No, they're all needy. Like, no, I don't need any of that.
You already have a cat.
Kelian, this is why we didn't want you to get a cat, is because you can't be trusted to have things.
Kelian, then all you do is let her go when we're back to Sigil.
Liberation, a succubus is a big responsibility.
I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna put my life on the line for some succubus. No, none of that.
So the decision is to
No.
not rescue the succubus slave.
Liberation, you could ask for her. You didn't ask for anything.
Yeah, liberation. If you're so concerned about her, why don't you? And then I can sleep with her, and then everything will be fine.
He's got you there.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but I mean, he didn't offer me anything, and
He offered
he
everyone something.
He offered you everything.
He's got some great items down there. Don't let me get some great items down there.
I don't give a flip about that.
Of course you don't, but you care about the succubus, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
There you go.
Liberation,
man.
this seems like a win-win.
Fine then. I guess we see if we can get another audience with the Great Duke.
So it's Liberation's goal then to request that he give you the succubus?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go ahead and tie up these NPCs here, because this is going to be kind of a big old exposition dump. Riot, you have a sit-down with the Banshee sorceress that hates you.
Sinette, right.
And she refuses to speak to you. Instead, she insists on conveying information to you telepathically through a third party. So there is just a low-level skeleton, like he scrubs out Grant Darius's chamber pots or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She insists on passing all of her words to this skeleton, who then conveys them to you telepathically. Here's the deal, and here's how the mechanics of it are going to work.
Okay.
Right now, I mean, you won't know the actual day until you get back to Sigil, but when you do get back to Sigil, it's my intent that it be about Amnesius the 4th. On Toma the 24th, that's about 2 months away. That's how long it will take for her to finish researching the level 8 version of the spell that you're interested in. This assumes that you can keep up your end of this and supply her with the money you need.
Yeah.
Anything you supply in terms of research on your own can move that date up if you have the means to do it.
Yeah.
So she will start bending her stuff to that end, and if you do absolutely nothing but turn over money, that's when it'll be done, on Toma the 24th.
Okay.
And let it be very, very clear that this Banshee absolutely hates you.
No, we got that.
Okay.
Riot is kind of getting off on the fact that she hates her so much.
Who sits down to speak with Christopher, the sage, about the Illithid ship?
One, I just give her 2,000 gold, because that's the investment that I've made so far.
Okay.
Mahogany does.
Nath is there.
Mahogany and Nath. Okay. I'm sure Destil could probably explain the essence of Spelljammer better than I could. But essentially...
We're not really too far into it, but yeah.
Each prime material world, planar creatures, especially Sigillians, think of the prime material world as like one kind of large homogeneous plane with like little worlds spinning around inside of it. And he tells you that could not be further from the truth. That each infinite universe of the prime material is encased inside a phenomenon called a crystal sphere. And that the expanse in between these crystal spheres is infinite. And it's called the Phlogiston.
Oh, it's always infinite.
There are magical vessels that are able to travel the distances between these crystal spheres. This is an area of the prime material that virtually no planar travelers know about. Portals don't open into the Phlogiston. There's no way to get there but through one of these magical vessels. And so he gives you a primer on what this stuff is and how there's essentially the prime material version of astral pirates that treat the Phlogiston as their 7 seas, and that they have some rudimentary tracking on the movements of this particular ship. And that when you're ready, they'll be able to point you to a prime material world that they need to have access to, where you'll be able to lead an assault or stow away on the ship or whatever it is you need to do to it. He does caution you that when you undertake this task, to ensure that your psychic defenses are pristine. So Mahogany and Nath receive a crash course on Spelljammer physics. Liberation, when you ask for another audience with Grant Sterius, do you ask for one with the group or one alone?
Alone.
Alone.
Yeah.
And who are you making this inquiry through? Are you making it through Izette or are you making it through the Seneschal?
The Seneschal.
Okay. The Seneschal obviously can't answer you. It can't speak. But he holds up his hands, indicating he wants you to wait.
Mm-hmm.
And then he leaves the room. And some hours later, he returns. And with him, he has 4 of the house guards, these skeletal men-at-arms.
Mm-hmm.
And he bids you follow.
And I will.
And he takes you again through this maze of passages and doors and rooms. And a lot of flights of stairs. And eventually you're outside again, out on the parapets of the castle walls. And Grant Sterius is standing there just looking out at the deathscape that he rules over. And he turns, and he nods to his men and says, "You may stand down." And then he looks at you. He says, "You had something you wish to discuss."
Yes, my lord. I apologize for taking time out of your busy schedule to ask you this, but I took some of my time to consider your offer. I know I very rudely declined it earlier, and after taking some time to think on it, I decided to reconsider.
And he looks mildly annoyed, but he says, "Very well, I will hear your requests."
The concubine that you've been that has been directed to attend to us.
And
she's my request.
He looks taken aback. And he says, "You've met my lady wife. What use have I for a concubine?"
Forgive me. The servant. The succubus.
He says, "Perhaps my memory is dim with old age. But I put forth the offer of aid, assistance in these quests that are to our mutual benefit. I failed to see how this fiendish harlot could serve you in these matters.
You have your beautiful wife. I have no one.
He says, you have the weak and tender heart of a mortal.
A failing, I agree.
A more reasonable request for a man of my station who has entered into an agreement with you where payment will be changing hands would be to harden that heart so that these whimsical influences no longer stand in the way of this agreement. Wouldn't you agree?
Respectfully, I concede that there is wisdom in what you say, but I cannot agree.
He says that he cannot, in good faith, give you the succubus as per the terms of the agreement you negotiated earlier. There's simply no connection between this servant and the tasks you are to undertake. However, he is willing to sell her to you.
How much?
He says, I may have given the impression in our meeting earlier that I know less about you than I do. I know Drothrigar has told you that I've scouted a considerable amount of information about you and your allies. I know that you were a man who died and was reborn into a new body.
This is true.
He says, he asks about the nature of that rebirth. He asks academic questions about what the reincarnation was like, how the transition felt, what it was like one moment to the next. Was it like falling asleep? Was it like flipping a switch? Was it painful? Did you see the world beyond death? Did you glimpse it? And he asks these kind of questions. What do you say to him?
All I can say is that it was a very hazy and confusing experience. The only reason that I know that I was born from another man is because of this. And he holds up the journal that he's been writing in, that Elsie Clone was writing in before as well.
Okay.
Like, this is, like, I could have had lives before this and I have no idea. That's the only reason, because I woke up in the same place that he died.
So you have no connection with this man whose form you formerly lived in.
This is correct.
And so therefore you have no use of any traced vestiges of this man that might still be living within you.
Some of the knowledge that he has is up here in bits and pieces.
He says it is these vestiges he will require as payment for the harlot.
You mean you could do that?
He says there's no limit to what he can do.
Very well.
And he steps forward. He places his hand. He removes the glove from his hand, the black glove. And he's just got this leathery, clammy hand underneath with just long nails, the skin drawn back so they look more like claws. And he places it over your face so that his palm is over your nose and mouth. And he begins casting some sort of spell.
I don't counterspell it.
Okay. And you're locked there for a moment until he removes his hand. And he pulls the glove back on. And he says, I am satisfied. Do with her what you will. And then he turns and looks back over his deathscape.
All right. And then I'll step back away from him and then nod to the escort and say, let's go.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to do here in the Abyss before heading home?
No, I think it's about high time we cast that plane shift spell.
We've had enough of the Abyss, right? Everyone feels like?
Unlike Fred and the Alkyandax, Granstarius gives you no guarantee of safe passage should you wish to return. All right. So here's the question that McDohl's going to be agonizing over, is what the fuck just happened?
Exactly.
It is Drothugar and some of his men that offers to take you back outside the range of the keep's atmosphere bubble, which is the closest place where any magic will help get you out of the plane.
Okay.
When he arrives back at the room to collect you guys, he literally brings the succubus on a chain and then hands the chain over to Liberation. And she looks terrified. She has no idea what's happening. She's begging and pleading to not take her, that she wants to stay and serve her master, and she doesn't understand why she's being punished.
Liberation stone faces for the time being.
Liberation's now officially a slaver. Congratulations.
Man, that's a sick turn.
Nath will lean into Liberation and whisper, I'll hit her with a dispel once we arrive.
I don't know what's happening in this campaign. Riot's taking watch at night. Liberation's buying slaves. Hamburgers eating people. What's going on? All right.
Displacer beasts and hound archons living together, mass hysteria.
So the plan is to get outside of the membrane, say your farewells to Drothugar, and then plane shift to where?
Beastlands, near the portal back to Sigil.
Okay. Once you're off plane, I don't have a Beastlands map, so we'll just have to pretend this is the Beastlands now. I mean, I probably do have a Beastlands map.
There's a big crow up in the corner, so that fits.
Yeah, you know.
You just have the hex scroll.
Well, here, I got a. This is the closest thing I have to a Beastlands map on short notice. There you go.
Yes!
Looks like the Beastlands to me.
Have we all used this map by now? Have we all gotten a turn out of it? As soon as you bring the succubus off plane, two things become very apparent. Once, after she's out of the reach of Granstarius' influence, her demeanor instantly changes.
Okay.
And she begins falling over herself with gratitude for you, for freeing her from his grasp, etc. The second thing...
I'll remove the chain.
When she realizes she's on the Beastlands, she becomes very agitated and very uncomfortable. Because the Beastlands is a good aligned plane. This is not a place where you want to take a fiend.
Come with us. We're returning to the City of Doors.
And so back to Sigil you go. As you all return to Sigil, Karan thanks you all for the wonderful vacation. You had a brilliant time.
Anytime, Karan.
He clasps Riot's hands in his and he says, "My dear, I'm sorry, but I just don't think it will work out. I hope that my parting gift is to your liking. The rest of you can fuck off. Thank you. Bye." And he leaves.
Fuck off, Karan.
What was his party?
Same time next
When you
weekend?
return to your church, the place is swarming with chaos men.
Oh,
And-
good.
Yeah, Yashnar's, with some alarm, tells you need to come inside and look at this.
Okay.
He takes you down to the basement level that he had contracted Serenity to make into an aquarium, and it has all been cleared out, and the work is excellent. He said he has no idea how or why or who did it, but 100 workers showed up to get this done in the time it took you guys to leave Sigil and come back.
And Riot says, this is sweet. This is a good parting gift. I'll treasure this always. And she's saying that to the workers.
Okay, and the ones of them that listen to you and,
Right. Yeah.
some of them, say you're welcome. Some of them say, I like oranges. They're Chaos Men. What do you want?
Right, and
Liberation.
Riot is going to cast the first Create Water spell to start filling this thing up.
Yashnar's advice is against that.
Oh, why? What's that?
He says he's going to send some of his acolytes out to various prime material worlds to collect salt water that has been lived in by Osprum's creatures, sailed on by Osprum's ships, and have been worshipped by the civilizations that rely on Osprum's gifts. And then that's the water he's going to use. He says, since we don't have a coastline, this is the next best thing.
Riot looks a little disappointed. I was hoping I could put this gift to use in one line.
I mean, you still can. You just wait till he leaves the room and then do it anyway.
Which is probably where I would do.
Okay.
And there's just a little puddle.
Yeah. And created destroy water, I don't think it has a huge effect.
It's like 10 gallons, isn't it? It's a considerable amount.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like 10 gallons.
Even 10 gallons, though, in an entire room. Like, the place just is gonna look wet.
Like, yeah, there's a lot of slapping water going on.
It says up to 10 gallons. So what I would actually do is like half a gallon in there.
Okay.
Just enough to be like
A spike gallon.
Right.
And Liberation.
Hey,
You have a small kind of sub-faction inside of the Godsmen who who look up to you with some respect because you had died and reborn and you have shared your philosophy with them. What do you tell them about what you did in the Abyss as far as selling your past life to the Lich Lord? Do you keep it from them? Do you make excuses? Do you even what's
here's
your
my
reaction?
here's my shitty excuse.
Okay.
The way I see it, whoever LC Clone was prior to being LC Clone, he was running away from. And that was very clear in the way he's been running around as a masked man and that kind of thing. That's why. Yeah, no. There's just no way good to saying it. It's like there's no good way to say it. LC Clone is not a very good person, and that's why when the opportunity was presented to purge him, that Liberation took the opportunity. And I know that's going to raise some hackles and piss a lot of people off, but you know what? That's the fact of the matter. It happened.
Might be into it.
And my last question for the night. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and share the straw poll with the Twitch chat so people can vote on who to Oblivious. Assuming that my laptop has internet, I think it does. If someone can confirm that straw poll link went through, I'd be very happy.
I did not.
I'm not seeing it.
It did not. Okay, then I will reload Twitch chat and try it again. I was able to go to straw poll, so I know that it has internet. My last question is for Nath. Upon returning to Sigil, what do you immediately do to start preparing for this illicit excursion?
Well, first I'm gonna take all the information I got about that illithid that they freed from the plane of fire and fire off a couple of sendings to various Githzerai monasteries to inform them of that one. And afterwards, I mean, Nath, he was kind of legitimate when he said, I don't care what order we take them in, but he's totally gunning for taking the illithid first, so.
So, kind of legitimate?
Yeah.
All right. So,
I mean, if they come up to some other decision, he's not But if you put the things in Nath's hand right now, it would be, all right, well, let's get ready, let's go to this place, and let's go kill some goddamn squid heads.
Isn't killing all the illithids more of a Githyanki thing?
Don't
No.
trust the traitorous blood of
It's
the proper Yankee leaders.
The only reason Githyanki and Githzerai won't kill each other on sight is because there's an illithid in the room.
So that's completely true.
All right, I'm going to step away for 2 minutes and do some calculations as far as experience goes. You guys go ahead and think about where you're going to give your blips out, and we'll get it all wrapped up. I'll be back in a couple minutes.
So I think that Riot furthered the party's goals the most because of all of her taking the lead on this Duke Grand Stereas thing.
That's fair.
Any objections?
No, that's fine.
Nope.
Okay, then. Let's see. There is.
I'll tell you what.
Badass.
No, skip badass.
Oh, skip badass.
Mahogany wins creative for getting that fucking rock off my hand with that acid monster.
All right, then badass then.
Let's see. Who did something really
I was going to say, DC 34 concentration save.
That was really good.
That was pretty real.
Yeah, that was good.
I never managed to pull off the disintegrate.
And finally, intangible. I'm trying to think of a reason to give it to Kelian.
I mean, I kind of appreciate him wasting everyone's fucking time.
I sort of wanted to give it to Liberation for like just sticking to his principles and like selling out something fairly dear for like this fiend lady.
I'm done with it.
I thought that was really cool.
No, I completely agree.
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
So,
All right, then.
Go ahead and give some awards. We give one blip for the most creative action of the session. Who was most creative this week?
Mahogany for aciding off the stone on his hand.
I quite enjoyed that myself. I planned the black pudding fight before that thing happened with the stone. But as I was giving him the stone, I'm thinking, he's probably gonna use the black pudding to great effect here.
This is probably going to happen, so yeah.
I mean, for those of you who weren't here last week, because we didn't have McDohl, and then Destil had to leave suddenly halfway through the session, so like the last hour or so of the last session, I was just like improvising shit. Like, what can I do to fill up the last bit of time? I'm like, I could just, me and Mahogany can just rap with each other and do some
Riff off
weirdness
of
with
each
his
other.
hands. So there were some shenanigans there that I then had to fit
Shenanigans
into the
did occur.
storyline after the fact. All right, what about we give one blip for the assist? Who furthered the party's goals the most this week?
That's Riot for taking the lead on the Duke Grand Stereo stuff.
Okay. And everyone confirms that?
Oh,
Sure,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. We have one blip for being the badass. Who was the badass?
That was Destil for disintegrating the crap out of that that yawning portal slime.
Ah, the master
master.
ooze, yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty good.
After counterspelling it, I mean, he kind of just... He had that ooze's number.
He had that thing on lock, yeah.
I should have thrown 2 ooze masters at you. Maybe I will next time. We give one blip for the intangibles.
We were giving that to Liberation for following his principles so far as to free an evil fiend.
Okay. Now,
Basically cutting my own arm off to do that.
is there any
that was
consensus
an hour.
on whether or not this is going to come back to bite him in the butt?
Well, no good deed goes unpunished, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's even a question. It's just a how.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, let me get my...
And she is definitely free to go once we're back in Sigil.
Oh, she would escape from you immediately if she wasn't.
Yeah, I know.
She's a chaotic evil succubus. Do I have any triple no's as far as the belief rundown? All right, I like the sound of that. All right, who wants to start with the belief?
I'll go.
Liberation. What's Liberation's belief?
Liberation's belief is chains of oppression prevent the oppressed from reaching their potential, and care must be taken to have a plan for freeing them.
And did he live that belief this week?
The plan was a little bit off the cuff, yes, but it's still a plan.
Okay.
And yes, he very much did act in accordance with that belief.
Learn anything new about his belief?
He's learning that that you can't just continue to play it safe. He's got to go out for the big risks if he wants to really make a difference.
And was this a big risk with Duke Grandstarius?
Well, yeah, that, and also, like I said, this is kind of the spiritual equivalent of cutting off a limb. He cut off a chunk of Elsie clone of himself by purging Elsie clone.
And are his beliefs changing?
No.
All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go.
What is Mahogany's belief?
Everything has a perfect state of being, and everything attempts to change the states of things around them.
And did he live that belief this week?
Yeah, with the conversation with Liberation and the succubus. Mahogany was able to recognize the succubus for being what she is. But once he was clear that Liberation was going to keep doing it, and that this was who Liberation was, Mahogany provided him with an avenue of how to do that. Like, hey, Liberation, you have a favor coming to you. Why don't you go make use of that?
Okay. Learn anything new about his beliefs?
No.
And are they changing?
No.
And who's next?
I'll go.
What is Riot's belief?
Those with power who use it only in the service of themselves must have that power stripped from them.
And did you live that belief this week?
I would actually argue yes, even though she didn't really make a move on Grandstarius.
Okay.
Because she got Sinet to, at her incredible fury, to use her power for Riot. And, like, the things that Riot is going to do, Sinet would never care about.
So from Riot's perspective, is she thinking, okay, like, this guy's, he's too big of a fish, but his little pet ghosts, I can make her life miserable and strip her of some of her power.
Right.
Is that the idea? Okay.
Yeah.
And learning anything new about her beliefs?
Yeah, I don't know if it really came across in the sessions, but, like, she sincerely loves Kelian. Because, especially the more time she spent with him, because, like, what she admires about him is he is not afraid to, like, really commit to the whole bit. He like, puts himself out there in service of his beliefs in a way that Riot feels that she's been too scared to. And she feels like she could learn something from that.
So, if Riot had to venture a guess as to what Kelian's belief might be, what would she say?
Probably the highest form of chaos is that which ruins the carefully planned schemes of others.
And are Riot's beliefs changing?
No.
All right, who's next?
Kelian will go.
What is Kelian's belief?
Kelian's belief is it is up to me to be ruthless to others when my associates cannot.
And did he live that belief this week?
No, didn't come up.
And are his beliefs changing?
Not related to his current belief, but it reinforced his taker belief in that one of the things he hates about Darkwood is that he just accumulates power for power's sake. And going through that treasury, Kelian realized that's exactly what he was doing.
Okay.
Like, he didn't really need the items in that treasury. They're powerful shit.
Is that a form of weakness in Kelian's estimation?
You meaning wanting power for power's sake?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And are Kelian's beliefs changing?
No.
And that just leaves Nath. What is Nath's belief?
Those who seek protection should be delivered to proper authority, free from any form of, if that means harming authority.
And did Nath live that belief this week?
Not particularly.
And is he learning anything new about his beliefs?
Yes, mostly that sometimes he's... So Nath, before, is, a fairly powerful spellcaster among the type that would hang out in the Harmonium homeworlds.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much kind of a big fish in a small pond, right? Like, there aren't too many 13th level wizards running around, and dealing with someone like Duke Ranstarius and learning that, outside of the normal, obviously if you're killing a bunch of Illithids, there might be places that you just have to kind of bite your tongue and know your place is a little bit humbling to him, because the whole succubus thing to him was like, well, we should take her back and then she can, atone for whatever crime she's committed against humanity, which will probably be destruction or infinite servitude. But
Okay.
I would dissent to your no on whether you acted in accordance with your beliefs or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because you were one of the first to jump on it and say, no, once you found out that she was being held against her will, that you were all for freeing her.
I had a big plan for also helping out, as soon as we got her off the plane. But if you think it's reasonable, sure.
Okay. And are Nath's beliefs changing?
No, not really.
All right. Nath, Liberation, and Riot, I've got you down for 2 belief points. Kelian and Mahogany, just the 1. Let me go tally up all your experience. Liberation took the straw poll this week.
Nice.
Dang.
We're the only ones who liked that last scene.
I mean, you sold out your past life. That's pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
All right. Encounter experience. You guys took down the Black Puddings and the Ooze Master, which, again, is one of the most fun monsters I've run in a while. That's a really fun monster.
Oh, yeah.
1580 as far as experience. I did not give Karan a share of the experience. I had no intention on getting him involved in combat whatsoever.
Oh, no doubt.
So everyone gets 1580 for that. Riot, I gave you your belief for your flaw. I don't trust anybody but me to not fuck everything up. Because she took charge of that whole Grand Stereo situation. It was Nath that recognized what kind of decorum would be required, but then it was Riot who stepped forward and led the charge. And that could have gone badly had she acted out of turn. And you also took the assist blip. Liberation has intangibles and straw poll. I gave you your flaw. I never enter a room without backup, and you requested a solo audience with one of the most powerful NPCs I think you've ever met, and then told him a bunch of shit that he didn't want to hear.
That's true.
I also gave you your blip for your faction, because based on what you told me, because you said you don't think Elsie Clone was a good person by Liberation's estimation, which tells me that Liberation feels that he has grown, he's advanced to the next state of being, which is exactly what the believers in the Source aspire to do. That's Liberation reaching the next rung of that ladder.
Okay.
So that's 4 blips. Kelian, I had to give you your flaw. When I think with my penis, nothing can go wrong. Because they were all talking about what kind of decorum we're going to have to worry about, and the only thing you kept saying is, dude, I want to nail that.
I want to hit that.
And he still does.
I also
Now
gave
she's
you
in single, so that's just convenient.
I also gave you your faction blip, because from what you told me about Kelian's trip down to the vault, it sounds like Kelian, at least in his head, he thinks he has a better handle on what his faction is about than his factal does.
Yeah.
That's, up until now, Darkwood's been a great antagonist, because he's just been kind of picking and needling at Kelian. It's been going back and forth. But it sounds like now Kelian has reached some kind of, fundamental level of, oh, this is why Darkwood's an asshole. Nath, you took the badass blip, and I gave you your flaw blip. At the tail end, I was thinking you were just going to say, oh, I'm going to start putting psychic defenses together, and no, you immediately say, no, I'm going to hunt down that guy they freed in the Plane of Fire and find out who he is. Perfect. So yeah, I'll give you your flaw blip for that. So you took 2 blips home, and Mahogany, you took the assists. I gave you your alignment blip. Neutrality is mediation, and so you were mediating between Liberation's desire to break the succubus out of bondage and the obvious hammer that was going to come down on everybody if he did that. Good job threading that needle. I also gave you your flaw blip. I can't be trusted to act on my own, and I should do what people tell me. I noticed this session, every time somebody said, Mahogany, shut up, he immediately shut up. Which, again, that was a situation where you might have gotten into a lot of trouble. So that's 3 blips for you. And blips right now are worth 1,000, but I think that's about to change, isn't it?
Yeah, because I was like 300 experience away from a level last session, and I more than cleared that this session.
When we come back next week, we'll start with some Sigil stuff. Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much Sigil stuff do you guys want to do before we start hunting down the next adventure?
We just did some Sigil stuff.
So
I
you
wouldn't
wanna-
mind not taking a whole session.
So we'll
I mean,
maybe...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was in character. I actually have some ideas that would take like a fair amount of in character time, but in terms of play time, I don't really have a lot.
Well, we can always...
Same.
We can always take an hour and just kind of fast track a week or two of you guys doing downtime in Sigil and then head off onto the next event.
Yeah,
that
I can
would-
come
that
up
would
with
fit what
something
I wanna
dumb
do.
to take up a couple hours.
So you guys will have
A couple weeks.
you guys will have a chance to level up when we come back.